Hey guys, I'm Kelly and today we're going to run through how to create additional profile fields for Sitecore Commerce powered by Commerce Server. What we're going to use to begin with is take a look at our Commerce Server Manager, which is an MMC plugin. You should have this installed with your Sitecore Commerce solution. So the first thing you'll notice here is the Global Resources Profile section. So what this contains is the information around how to connect to your profile database and also the fields for your profile and how to map those fields between the two. If we open up our profile catalog, we're going to see our profile definitions, and what we're going to do for this example is add a new field to the user object. So we've got the user object profile definition here. If we take a look at our profiles database, so I've just got the Commerce Reference Storefront installed. So here's our user object. That database corresponds with that profile definition. What we're going to do now is we're just going to add a new field to our database table. So I'm just going to do that through design mode. And I'm just going to add a simple string property. And it's just going to be a string, an nvarchar. We're going to allow nulls in the field. With nulls, you can see here we've got two fields that do not allow nulls. They're the user ID and the external ID field. The way that profiles are created and updated in Sitecore is the first call will be to create, and that'll send through the ID, the external ID. The second call will update, and it will update things like email address, first name, last name, which you provide with your membership call. However, it will do that as a subsequent update call. By default, the database may have the email address field. Let me find this, the u_email address field, as to not allow nulls, and you'll start to find that your profile save calls, your user create calls will fail. You do need to uncheck that to allow nulls. Okay, we've got that field in there. As I said, nice and simple for the moment. We're going to save that. Next thing we're going to do is come back to our Commerce Server Manager. Now, whilst we're looking at profile definitions here, the first step is to actually add the object as a data member. So you can see here we've got our data sources and we've got our profile service SQL source. If you ever need to check where that's pointing, you can have a look in the partitions tab and just click edit on that string and you'll see where that's pointing. So that's just on my local machine at the moment. So the data object area is where we're going to update our definition here. So we've got the user object, data object. And what we're going to do is we are going to add a new data member. We don't have to supply the data member name. Instead, we can select the field that we added previously, which is the u_new field. What you'll notice is that fields that are already mapped will be grayed out, and your fields that you haven't mapped, i.e. your new fields, will be in black. It makes things a little bit easier. Now, there are some things that you may have to adjust depending on what you're doing. Type, not really one of them. You can store a type string, but you can make things multi-valued. That just signals in the customer and order manager. If you are using the customer and order manager, obviously in the new versions of Sitecore Commerce that has been replaced. But if you are still using an older version, you can use that multi-valued field to indicate that the field that you are using contains multiple values. So you can see over here some of the previous fields that are like that are addresses, and that allows you to have multiple addresses for the one user object. So what we're going to do here, we're going to click add, and then we're going to click finished. We'll now see that u_new field is in our list. I didn't bother with a description. You can add a description. Descriptions are obviously handy if the field that you are using is not very self-explanatory. What we can do though is update our display name. And so I'm going to update our display name to new field. And we can see here in our display name is new field. Now that we've got our field in our database, we have our data member associated with the user object data object. We're now going to update the profile definition to include this this new field. So we're going to come back to user object. Now what you'll see within this user object is there are actually a number of groups within the profile definitions. So here we have general, information, account info, advertising info, and profile system. profile system has a bunch of dates and things like that that you're kind of used to seeing in a membership provider. General information does have our general information about the user, and so on and so forth. You'll see with other ones like addresses, most of them will have general info and profile system. Purchase order, general info. You get the drift. So we're going to come back to user object. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to select general info and hit this add button here. We're going to add a new property. If you do find yourself wanting to add a new group, you can do that. I'm just going to add it to general information. Where these groups are used are when you're going to access the profile properties. So we're going to add a new group. We are going to call it new underscore field. This just follows along with the general convention that other fields have, which is sort of the lowercase space replaced with a underscore. You can do as you wish. Just make sure you know that for fields that are already existing, you will access them with first underscore name or last underscore name. We're going to give it a display name. Again, we're just going to use new field. It is a bit repetitive because we have actually supplied some of these things with the data member definition. However, this name here isn't associated with your data member definition at all. What we're also going to do is open up the advanced attributes. Active, yes, we want this to be active. The other one we're going to do is map to data. Now that is associating this property with the data member that we created previously. We're going to select our profile service, user object, and again you'll see that fields that are already being used are in grey, fields that we have available are in black. We're going to go on new field, which is our field. We're going to hit OK. Alright, key type is used when you're looking at something that's a key. This one isn't. Required, we can do that. I'm not going to make it required. Encryption, so you've just got a number of different kind of objects there. I am going to tick searchable. This is really searchable within the order and profile manager, so it's not entirely relevant now. There are some custom attributes that you can have a look through here as well. You can add new custom attributes if you need be. We're going to hit apply. One strange thing about this is you can hit apply, and to be honest, it appears to be your only save button. Do make sure that you save the rest of your profile after that. I find the easiest way is to click off it and you get told, do you want to save your changes to the user object profile? We're going to hit yes. And that's it. We've now done our 3-step process for adding new properties to profiles in Sitecore Commerce Powered by Commerce Server. You'll find that this is important when you first start your solution because you'll find one all-important property missing, and that is the external ID property. Thanks very much for watching, and that's it.